This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I'm your host, Jason Bishop, and with me today, as always, is Trish Cockliff.
Hello, everybody.
And Sam Stepanenko.
Good afternoon, morning, evening, whenever
Whenever you're listening to this.
Just hi. How?
So,
Yeah.
Trish, how did you get here today?
I got here by bus. Because I couldn't get a taxi.
Oh, yeah, well, it's only like noon on a Sunday. I'm sure they're all like after the Saturday.
They're all busy.
Yeah, this is right after St. Patty's Day weekend, so
Yeah, a lot of drunk people finally making it home.
yes,
That's why I get drunk at
the
home.
walk of shame.
Yeah. And 2 days later, I don't know if 2 days later is the walk of like a complete shame.
Yeah. Speaking of shame, you missed Leprechaun last week.
I did. I feel bad about it, but
The only genuine Irish person on the team right now.
I feel I was trying to battle a leprechaun to get here, and I did not win in the beginning. So like it took me a week.
Well, you're still alive, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, but that was a hell of a week. A hell of a week, because these leprechauns, they're they're persistent.
Just give him a damn coin back.
Well, you know what? I feel that they're the people who are behind that whole cash for gold bullshit, and I feel that they're trying to destabilize the market. So I'm really against these leprechauns right now.
Yeah. You might be right. They've gone corporate.
Yeah, and viral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to watch out. People thought, oh, leprechaun. Like, see, that was the whole thing. Lucky Charms. People are like, ooh, cute little leprechaun. We were all fooled. All fooled.
It was the cereal to poison our minds.
Yep, exactly.
Gives a whole new meaning to serial killer, doesn't it?
Oh, that's how we're going to start?
That's how we're starting.
That's how we're going to go?
That's how our day's beginning now.
You set it up, I had to knock it down.
It was right there.
After we had so much fun last night with some really good material that we didn't record, we all just kind of got together to hang out, and I should have recorded it. We had some gold last night.
We don't have the appropriate cartridges.
And now we're down to serial killer with actual cereal.
Yes.
We used it all up last night.
We totally used it all up last night. So look for a really flat episode today.
We will do our best. We will.
So I take it you did actually watch Leprechaun then?
Yeah, I did.
Did you cast it?
I didn't cast it. I was just trying to work my way through it, going like, this is like a bonkers movie. just the whole thing. I was like, wow. Like, can you imagine being one of the people who got the script and thought, oh, this is my big break. This is going to be great. Like, it was a big break for Jennifer Aniston, but can you believe like that's like the beginning?
Yeah. Tons and tons of movie stars got their start in horror, in shitty horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus I was always a bit distracted from the guy who played Pee-wee's nemesis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure the entire time, being a kindly but very simple man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, today we are talking about Taxi. And that's from 1998, directed by Gérard Pirès and written by Luc Besson while he was waiting on the studios to approve Fifth Element.
Ooh.
He was just sitting on his ass and wrote a script.
Because that's what Luke does. He's got to be like the hardest working man in cinema, just in general. If he's not writing a movie, he's directing a movie. And if he's not directing a movie, he's producing a movie.
Yeah.
And if he's really bored, he writes books.
Yeah.
Right?
Very prolific.
Yeah,
So busy.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan, and this isn't the first time we've had a Luc Besson
Yes, true.
penned film.
That's right.
My very first episode as a co-host, as an official co-host.
That's right.
Nice.
That's
yeah.
right.
And it's like it's a crazy thing. You can see all the hints of like Luc Besson action sequences. Like when you look back at these ones, you see the beginning points of a lot of this stuff, Mm-hmm. See how like his arc of how he gets things like bigger and bigger.
And for something he was just kind of writing while he was waiting, it turned into a big franchise for France.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 of them.
I don't know if maybe there's a 5th one coming, but there's 4 I know for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the remake that we will talk about a little bit later on today that was done in America. And then there was a TV series loosely based on it called Taxi Brooklyn from a couple years ago.
Oh, wow. It's not the one
Americans
with
could
Danny
never-
DeVito, right?
No.
Different Taxi?
Yeah, I said couple of years ago,
Oh, okay.
not 40.
Yes. And that's why it was called Taxi Brooklyn, probably because they didn't want people confusing it with the old 80s TV series with
Yeah.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, they would have thought it was a reboot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Probably some people did.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't know Taxi Brooklyn even existed because, I now live in an on-demand world, and if it doesn't exist on my Netflix queue,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist.
Or, like, remember the old days, they used to be, like, coming this fall, and you'd see all those promos because that was the thing. You were looking for, like, the fall lineup and, like, the big Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it. The problem is I don't actually turn on regular television. I don't see advertising, so I don't know.
Yeah, unless you read like entertainment magazines to supplement it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where I find out most of my stuff is through like articles on entertainment websites and stuff like that. And I'm going, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll watch that. Or I'll look for that when it comes out.
Yeah,
Right?
it's really changed now.
Or I'll look for somebody that I really, really like as an actor, and I'm like, oh, they're starring in a new show, and then I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And
Strictly
then
on the basis
sometimes you're horribly disappointed, like that Rashida Jones show with the talking dog.
Did the dog talk?
Yeah, he talked.
Oh, okay.
It was
I don't know
very
the dog talking.
Naked Gun Police Squad.
No idea what you're talking
Oh,
about.
it's Angie Tribeca,
That's the one.
and
yeah.
I've seen it. I think it's one of those ones. I don't know if it found its voice was part of the problem. It seemed a bit all over the place. Was a bit the problem with it. It could have been funny. Like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is amazing, but they base it in reality. See, Angie Tribeca, if they'd made it like more absurd, like what was that one, Sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer, Police Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was ridiculous. Like if they just went maybe just a bit more ridiculous would have made
Yeah,
it
sometimes
better.
you need more.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were trying too hard to walk that line, and they walked the wrong side of it. They just walked it just a little bit too softly. But we're not talking about that today.
No.
Well, we just did.
Yeah. Well,
We're not talking about
We gotta
it
get back to
anymore.
the taxis.
Well, okay. Taxi 1998 was, like I said, written by Luc Besson. I don't need to tell you who he is. The budget for this movie was 8.1 million, roughly, US, 53 million francs or something.
Yeah, because that was before the Euro.
Yeah, the opening weekend was pretty strong. It had a box office, I think a global box office of about 93.4 million. So huge success.
Yeah, that's why there's 4 sequels.
Yeah,
3 sequels.
I tried to do the cast, but I'm not going to pronounce any of these names.
I could try.
All right, I'm going to hand off the
paper?
The paper. And
the tablet.
she at least, yes, the tablet made of old recyclable.
Yep.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, because she could at least say them convincingly, even though she's probably just as way off as I am. At least
True.
it sounds legit.
I make the effort to make it.
That's right.
Yeah. So for Daniel Morales, you have Sami Nasseri. And then for Emilien Coutan-Krabalek, you have Frédéric Diefenthal. And then Marion Cotillard in one of like her first roles as Lily. And then Manuela Guerreri, I think. I don't know who that is in the cast. I didn't recognize the names.
Yeah.
That was Camille. She was Camille Coutan, because I can't do that one.
Hey, good enough.
Emma Vickland was Petra. Bernard Ferry was the Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Gilbert. Georges Neri was Joe.
It was Joe.
Joe. That's the best I could do. If that was terribly bad, it's not me mocking any French accents. I'm
No.
literally trying.
I am terribly bad.
I wasn't going to offer to try
trying.
either.
Yeah.
You guys heard my attempt at French last night. It wasn't very good
I
at
either
all.
have a lack of like the right amount of or too much. I can't get the right mix.
So there's either not enough phlegm or too much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was always my problem. Well, it's
Now-
supposed to be in the back of your throat.
Now, Marion
Cotillard.
people might know that name because she's actually starting to really take off in American films now. She's a favorite of a certain director who maybe did Inception,
Yep.
and Dark Knight Rises. You know him.
Exactly. But
So yeah,
If you
she's-
don't, you should.
that's
should.
right. I'm not going to tell you.
Well, this was only a few years before, like La Vie en Rose, which she did. That sort of really kind of blew her up.
Yeah. And she's, even though she's not prominently in the film, she's good while she's on screen. So
Oh, yeah.
you can see she's got her acting chops. Now, of course, this got remade in 2004 by director Tim Story, and as I said before, this was written by Luc Besson, but it took 3 other people to make the screenplay for America.
Yeah, and you can see it's sort of a little disjointed. It could have been really, really good if they'd kept some of the stuff.
Yeah,
that was missing.
They made some good changes, and then they made some bad changes.
They made some appropriate changes for like an American city, like some of the changes, like a bike courier rather than a pizza delivery person.
Yeah,
and I like the fact that they made the bank robbers hot European women, and not because I like looking at hot European women. I do, but it added a new element to it without changing the story too much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the change of the cab driver from a male character to a female character was a really nice change because
I really like Queen Latifah in this movie, although I don't think she's a very convincing message courier. She's a great cab driver.
Oh yeah, like I could totally buy her as like a gearhead.
Yeah.
And loving it, and I'm like, oh yeah, go Queen Latifah.
Yeah, no, I really like her in this movie. So the screenplay was by Robert Ben Garant. He wrote with Thomas Lennon for Night at the Museum, all 3 movies, and the upcoming Baywatch movie.
Oh, no.
And Jim Kauf, who wrote both National Treasures and Rush Hour. So, not bad. As I said, directed by Tim Story. If you don't know, he wrote Ride Along 1 and 2 and the 2 Fantastic Four movies. Not the really bad one.
Good.
The 2 okay ones.
Nice.
Fantastic Four and Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Nice.
Budgeted at $25 million. Opening weekend of a little over $12 million. It's grossed a worldwide box office of $68.9 million. Not a huge success, but, tripled its budget. That's not bad.
Tripled his budget is a reasonable return.
Yeah, reasonable
nowadays.
return.
especially on a comedy.
Probably not sequel bait, but did okay. You got Queen Latifah, Jimmy Fallon, making probably one of his first major film roles.
One of his few.
Yeah.
He did not make a lot of films.
Yeah.
Yeah, without Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Outside of SNL.
Yeah. Giselle Bündchen?
Bündchen?
Thank you. It's just hot supermodel chick.
Yeah, a supermodel.
Yeah. Jennifer Esposito, who a lot of people might know
Yeah.
from television. I really like seeing her in this.
Really good.
Henry Simmons, Anna Cristina Della Oliveira.
Okay, yeah. They were all legitimate models.
Yeah, they were all legit models that played the bank robbers. And Anne Margaret as Mrs. Washburn, Jimmy Fallon's mom in the movie.
And one of my favorite underrated actors is playing the FBI agent.
Oh, yes.
Christian Kane. I love this actor.
Kane, yes.
He's really good in it.
Yeah, you might know him from his role in Buffy.
From Angel. Yeah,
Angel.
Angel. Yeah.
Angel. It was
Yeah.
Angel, that's right.
Angel and
What was his name on Angel?
not Leslie. It's some. Is it Leslie? No.
Lindsay?
Lindsay, that's it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Yeah, no, I knew it was something.
Just got to
like
reverse engineer it from what you're thinking.
Yeah, but loved his character in that. He's in that librarian series now, and he was in that TV series with Timothy Hutton. What the heck was it called? I don't know, but a great TV
I can
series.
see it. Yeah, it was that the lawyer one.
No, they played the fixers. They'd go in and they'd commit crimes on behalf of corporations. But I can't remember the name of it now.
I think I can see like the poster, like the promo for it.
Yeah,
but I can't.
But another good series that was way underrated.
Yeah,
but yeah, I really like him, obviously, because I keep talking about him.
Yeah, well, and I like the fact that they made him an FBI agent, and he's not inept.
No,
he just isn't privy to all the information. Yep. So I love that idea. That
is one of the changes I liked about the remake is they didn't make the entire police force inept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, because in the French one, they're all buffoons, every single one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all okay. It's all Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah,
all really accident prone. I mean, some are worse than others, but
yeah. I mean, Petra's the only one who didn't appear to be inept.
No,
but she didn't really get a lot of screen time. She was literally seemed to be there just as a love interest for the cop.
Reluctant love interest.
Yeah.
for him, and of course the hot eye candy.
Yeah.
And I bought Taxi 3. I have Taxi 3 on DVD. And the reason I bought it because of District 13, there's Sio Raffaelli, who's one of the leads in it. He had a very small part in it, so that's the reason I kind of bought the DVD for like a good price. And she's in that, but her role does expand a bit more later on.
Right.
Like, she's definitely not inept. She's really one of the higher end
agents. I
agents.
mean, this is an ongoing film franchise in France, so you'd figure some of these characters, when they return, are going to definitely get more fleshed out.
Yeah, they're going to develop and become more prominent in the series.
Yeah.
You would hope.
Like, she has a fight scene. It's really good.
Yeah.
No, and I actually, now that we were talking about it, I'm probably going to go back and watch the other 3 movies.
Yeah, I think I will too. I really, actually, that comes to, I actually prefer the French one.
Oh, yeah.
Despite not understanding the language, the subtitles were fine.
I think I prefer the action of the French one.
Me too.
But I like a lot of the changes done to the US one because they were more accessible, and I like the idea of having like these hot women to like take advantage of the fact that people just literally didn't suspect that 4 women were the bank robbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I said, there are some changes for the better and some for the worse. I'm kind of even on them, actually. I really, really enjoyed the French one, but there are elements of the American one that I find more relatable being in North America.
Yeah.
So there's a good balance there. I would have to say I like them both equally.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to run the trailer for the French one, and unless you're French, you're probably not going to understand any of it, but we'll be back and we'll talk more about Taxi.
Est-ce que vous pouvez me sauver la vie?
A priori, non.
J'ai un avion à Marien dans 25 minutes. Si je rate, je suis un homme mort. Si je l'attrape, vous êtes un homme riche.
Je suis de la chance. Je suis pas médecin, mais j'aime bien les urgences. Vous pouvez attacher votre ceinture, s'il vous plaît?
Bon, faudrait peut-être y aller maintenant, hein.
C'est parti.
Véhicule à 208 km/h.
Un taxi blanc à grande vitesse. Il a renversé mon radar.
All right, let's dig into Taxi here. I've paid the fare. We're ready to go.
Woohoo.
Now, the French one is mainly about Daniel and Emmeline.
Lily.
No, the other cop.
Emile. Emilien.
Emilian. Oh, this is going to be a shitty
Sorry.
podcast.
Just maybe point at me. It's like the cop point at me.
Oh, we just call him the cop from now. We
said
his name. We'll just call him the cop.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll call him the cop. Sorry, I had Sam's mic turned off, so you kind of got him in the background there for a second, because it's Sam. He doesn't need to talk.
Oh.
I kid. Oh my god.
It's really impossible to subtitle on a podcast, I hope you know.
As people trying to understand the French trailer have found out.
Exactly.
I go out of my way to prove that. The film opens on Daniel. He is moving on from his pizza delivery thing, so he's kind of making his last run. It's kind of I don't know, just one more for kicks kind of thing, because he didn't deliver anything. It was a time trial.
It was a time trial. Yeah, he was trying to break his own record for getting from one spot to another.
Well, I think it's like one of those things where probably the pizza guys just had these bets and games to make their job seem a little bit more enjoyable. That was just between them. So
yeah, I don't know. There must have been like some stunting school before you could do the pizza delivery gig.
Oh, that parade was awesome.
I know, right? Like, now that's a fucking send-off.
Yeah.
Latifah didn't get anything near that kind of send-off.
See, I think about that, and I'm looking at it, and it reminds me, like, the beginnings of District 13. Like,
Right.
it's like parkour, but with, like, scooters and bikes.
Oh, yeah. They're driving on buildings and
Shipping containers.
and
Somebody does a flip on a scooter.
Yeah.
A scooter!
yeah. Oh,
From the ground. It's not like he was going off a ramp. He just bunny hopped into a flip.
I thought the guys that actually had real bikes were doing some pretty cool stunts, and then you see the guy on the scooter with the big box on the back of it do the flip,
Yeah.
and you're like, holy fuck.
I know.
mean, that was all probably orchestrated and probably was on wires or whatever, but it still looked great.
It still looked
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
It seemed like it had the heft of actually happening, so it's good.
Yeah, so I don't know if it did or not, but sure looked good. And that's why I think I prefer the French movie, because there's so much more actual physical action in the film, I think, where they concentrate a little bit more on the comedy in the American one.
Yeah.
We all know how I feel about shitty comedy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I do know what they were doing, but the thing is, the comedy they were trying to do in the American version is really close to the French comedy that they were doing, which does not translate as well.
No, well, the laughing gas thing, and I don't know. There's some stuff they threw in there that I just did not like.
Yeah, but
I mean,
yeah.
I know Sam did, so
Yeah.
I know others did. It's just me. That's
Well, we had a discussion about the laughing gas last night.
Yes, we did.
Because I didn't know if it actually everything sounded like this when you were laughing gas, but yeah, it doesn't. It's really funny. There's like another movie I watched where these two guys are really inundated with laughing gas, and it doesn't do that roar thing it does in Taxi 2004. They're just laughing like hell because they're gonna die, which is what laughing gas does.
Yeah, well, there's an outtake actually in the 2004 of Jimmy Fallon, and he's like, "I sound like Barry White's illegitimate white grandson,"
Yeah.
which I think is pretty funny. But it still made me question, like, does it make your voice lower? Like helium makes it raise higher. Does it make?
I think it was the
lower?
perception that because what they were trying to do and what they didn't really.
I mean,
quite
they
understand.
obviously weren't pumping real gas into that herb. So
What they were trying to do and what they didn't understand is they were using their perception of having taken drugs that would mess up your head, that sometimes it affects that, and that's what they thought they'd use to let people know these two were high. Like the dart in Old School.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. It was a way of conveying that they were very much buzzed by the nitrous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the French one has a nice balance. Now, Daniel's gone to... He's moving on to be a cab driver, and he's been saving up. He's goes to get his license and has a long wait at TMV.
Yeah.
And this starts a big joke of he's wanting to have sex with his girlfriend, Lily.
Yeah. Well, they say that they were friends. They're just kind of taking it to the next level. They just decide they're going to do more than just be friends.
Well, she worked as an accountant or something for the pizza company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So because he was moving on, she felt like she could then move forward with the relationship that she wanted with him all along. That was kind of the impression I got from it, was that now he didn't work there, they didn't have to worry about the workplace relationship.
Ah, good idea.
So I think that was supposed to be what they were trying to convey there. But
Right.
But yeah, with subtitles, I don't know if you catch
There was
that
a couple
nuance.
of things because they were moving so fast. Like as Sam said, it's really dialogue heavy. So it's boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely some dialogue I missed along the way.
Yeah, for like a massive amounts of action, there is a lot of dialogue in this
There
movie.
is, yeah, there
Yeah.
totally is.
There's a lot of dialogue, but yeah, and sometimes it was easy to get lost.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's still a freaking great movie.
It's French Gilmore Girls.
Yes, but funnier.
makes it a little tougher to follow, but especially when I'm trying to make notes.
Yeah, if you can't read fast, you can't watch this on subtitles. You will get lost.
Yeah, well, I can read fast, but the problem is when you take notes and then you're not looking anymore and they're still talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to learn how to write without looking, I guess.
Yeah.
Or just pause a lot.
The long line of the DMV kind of circumvents that first encounter with Lily.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the fact that he had to go to the
first
DMV
day.
circumvented the first one because they were
Yeah.
getting to it, and then the alarm went off, and that's
Yeah.
and so there was coitus interruptus there right at the very beginning,
Yeah.
and then he was supposed to be back in an hour, and it was all day.
Yeah. Was it 247 was his number? 247?
Yeah, and they were serving number 6 when he got there.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
That's the
It
French I
wasn't-
could understand.
The New York line wasn't nearly as bad.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
nearly as bad. Yeah. But I mean that's a very European type of humor, right? Where they poke fun at bureaucracy
Yeah.
much more so than they do in North America now.
Yeah.
Because it was, and the lady at the counter was just perfect.
Yes.
The completely disengaged civil servant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, she says the same thing 240 times a day.
Oh, yeah. You got to lose your mind a little bit.
I think so. I thought it was interesting, the French cabs, like when they get their license, they get that little thing, the cab thing at the top of their car, and it just magnetically attaches to whatever car you have.
Yeah, that one's...
Whereas the New York one, you have to have a certain color. You got to have yellow. It's got to be a taxi color. And
yeah, well, and that's my one beef with the actually with the American one is I don't think that an independent driver can just sort of go in and get a taxi license without having like the backing of a company. I mean, I know in Calgary, right?
Yeah.
They only allow so many cab licenses, and
you got to be affiliated.
you don't actually.
No?
So maybe I'm misspeaking, but regarding the New York one, but you don't need to be. But typically, the companies that are already established have the money, the resources, the time to do all the paperwork and get these livery licenses.
But but you can have the whole thing too, where it's a lot of the onus. I was talking with one cab driver in town. The onus is on them for like a lot of like the maintenance of the car and stuff. So if they have a slow night, it screws them, not really the company. The company, it's like a franchise, really.
Right.
Yep.
In some instances. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah. No. I think maybe I did misspeak there. You may be able to do that in the States as well. But like I said, it was just because it's hard. I found it a little hard to believe because typically the big companies are the ones who get those licenses when they become available.
Now, did it strike you as a little odd that this guy on a pizza delivery salary was able to afford to build this car? And it's not just, here's a brand new car. Here's a brand new car. He is completely souped up like it's fucking Knight Rider.
So I have two theories here.
One is it took him 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of it. On a pizza delivery driver's salary, 6 years, I could see that.
And two, they allude several points during the movie of him being crooked and being a thief of sorts every once in a while.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if Luc Besson's other movies connect up with each other.
Maybe.
Maybe he was a wheelman.
Maybe. I don't know.
He sure handles the car like a wheelman.
Exactly. So, yeah, I feel there's something in his backstory that's another reason why he got this money together.
Maybe it's in 2, 3, and 4, maybe.
Maybe he's the transporter.
Oh. He's
Not
got a nicer car than the transporter.
And maybe he's got some support somewhere because he's got this like kind of garage place. Like maybe that was just like a cheap warehouse he could buy, just much like cheap rent, so he saved money there.
What if he's like the transporter's like brother?
Oh, nice.
Or part of that network of transporters.
Yeah, that's what, like they can't all be related, but they could all be transporters. There's like the taxi drivers, they're transporters. They work for a company. They've got their transporter license.
I think we may have cracked the Luc Besson code here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny that you bring that up because I remember reading an article saying that The Professional is definitely linked to another movie in.
Well, it's kind of we did kind of cover some of that in Nikita, where his character in Nikita was essentially the same character, but they wound up changing the character's name.
Yeah.
But it was the same profession, same everything.
Yeah.
They just wound up changing the character's name for The Professional.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not sure why exactly.
I'm not sure why either. But yeah, no, there's a link to another one of Luc Besson's movies as well.
Well, it could be simply because of this, because he is The Professional. Like, why would you give your real name? Like, why would you have a consistent name across the way?
That's true too.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's links to, like subtle links to other Luc Besson works. I mean, this is technically written by him, but it's not a wholly Luc Besson film.
Wait a minute, he was doing this during Fifth Element. What was Bruce Willis's career in Fifth Element before getting... He was a fucking cab driver.
And she falls into his cab.
Huh.
Nice.
And there's another link.
Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe that was the hint in like the American one where Queen Latifah's pissed off at the damage to her cab. Bruce Willis was pissed off at the damage to his cab.
Yeah. Well, he just wound up like, well, what if I did Fifth Element as a straight up present day thing? Huh. I mean,
Nice.
certainly not as broad spectrum as Fifth Element was, but...
Yeah, and he's just fighting like 4 Germans, not like an entire shadow corporation.
It's true, and it's not trying to restart the universe or whatever.
Yeah.
But crazy. Crazy. Now, the other major character in this is pointing.
What do you mean? Cop?
Yes.
Amelia.
All right. That's that guy.
You have to say cop before you point.
I'm going to go cop.
Okay, thank you.
And before we meet him, well, we kind of starting to see him early on cutting back and forth.
Yeah.
And as Daniel's starting to take his first fares, one of his first fares is actually
Amelia?
his mother.
Emilian's mom, yes.
Yep. I'm just going to keep doing it because I can't. Emilian?
Emilian.
Okay, yeah?
Emilian?
Yeah.
Like chameleon, but Emilian?
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll go with that.
That sounds cool. I can deal with that. I can totally deal with that. And she's a sweet lady. She, he helps her with her groceries up to her apartment, and she makes him a sandwich and stuff. Which I like the pay. There's a payoff on that later on.
Yeah, it's worth it. It was definitely a great setup. This brings up one of the changes that I didn't like in the American movie.
Where they made Anne Margaret a fucking drunk.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. That pissed me off so much.
I didn't like that either because you got this really likable, sweet mom who's very momish, and just an amazing cook. And the only thing Anne Margaret was able to still talk coherently while being drunk all the time, and made really great margaritas and takeout, and knew how to dial a phone to get takeout.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I really didn't like that change.
I didn't like that change.
It actually was a bit of a waste of Anne Margaret.
I thought so too.
I would have loved her to been like a tiny bit, like a little bit dotty, a little bit, kind of a flaky older mom.
Kind of like Emilian's mom in this movie, because she's really sweet, a little clueless.
Yeah.
Or she seems to be, but she's not. I think that's what I liked about her, was there's a point where you see that this really sweet, slightly clueless lady isn't as clueless as you think she is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because she says, I just tell everybody you work at IBM so that I don't have people at the door asking about their frickin' tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and he kind of plays that up, too. I mean, Emilian, he's kind of useless at everything. He can't cook.
Nope.
So he goes to see Mom every day, and Mom makes all these containers for him to take home.
Yeah, for the week. She cooks for the week for him every week.
He has failed his driver test, and I actually...
8 times.
8 times.
8 times. But he's really good at pole position.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's like, and then the one guy makes a joke, maybe if they put a mouse in the car, you might pass.
He says they do it for handicapped people. I think or disabled people don't, right?
And then he gets mad and tells him to fuck off.
Yeah, he plays pole position at
work. Yeah,
at work, and I don't know. It's such an old joke with him at this point. It seems.
Yeah,
See, but what they do in the new one, which I do like, is Queen Latifah finally figures out what the problem actually is. She's like, just relax, and they go out for a drive, and she gets him actually driving.
That was a nice addition because they make a change with that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, maybe that does kind of screw the sequel, because if he can start driving, he doesn't need Latifah anymore.
Yeah, but you can only drive while singing "This Will Be" by Natalie Cole, which could cause some problems.
With a partner in the car or something, that'd be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see how he can drive but under very limited conditions.
That's true. He's got a long way to go.
He can't sing "This Will Be" for 200 kilometers. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Now, how Emilian and Daniel kind of hook up is there are these bank robbers.
German bank robbers.
The German bank robbers, they just call them the Germans. They're all driving Mercedes in this movie, and it's BMWs over in the other film, but they're Brazilians, hot Brazilians. Yeah. They're all male German thieves.
Well, and that's what I like about the models. I think that's what they brought forward, because they're like, well, they're kind of like, they were all kind of attractive German model-y kind of guys. So they're like, well, let's just make them women, but they're Portuguese. So it's it's the same idea.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, definitely, they were obviously trying to appeal to that specific demographic of young males for that particular type of change, but it worked. I mean, it added a really fun element to the movie, even if you weren't that demographic, right?
Oh yeah,
because they were badasses. I love the one who wanted to kill everybody.
Oh yes, so much fun. And then the little hint that like Giselle is like, she's not interested in men.
Yes. Yeah. There's the kissy faces they do with Queen Latifah as they're kind of competing when they're driving.
And there's the scene where she gropes the hell out of the lieutenant,
Jennifer Esposito.
Yeah, right. Like she gropes her. I mean, you're like, whoa, that's wow.
Oh, one of the outtakes, Giselle just slaps her on the ass.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the only thing missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, it's the kissy face, and
That
then
was a good scene, by the way.
yeah. Well, it's sort of the look when Giselle sees this woman following her, and there's that little bit of a hint where you get, where I don't know, what I got was she's sort of kind of attracted to Queen Latifah because she's like, this chick can drive. I'm into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and there is some of that. There's definitely some sort of like this innuendo type. Just cut that. I can't remember what I'm trying to say.
Well, there's that. She's like kind of becomes sexually attracted to her a
Yes,
little bit because
yeah.
she's respecting how well she drives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not cutting that.
No, you don't have to. My brain just shut off. Apparently, we warned you.
Well,
we used it all up.
It's an unspoken thing. I can see why you're having trouble speaking it.
Yeah, it's exactly. I was trying to find a way of describing not dialogue, but facial expressions and body language. That's the word we're looking
There
for.
we go.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they fixed it.
Now we see the souped-up car before Emilienne gets
Yeah.
involved. He takes a fare to the airport, and he's running late. He's got about 15 minutes to get to the
25.
airport. 25?
It's 25 in this one, and it's 15
Yeah.
or 19 in the
Yeah,
remake.
in New York traffic, that's impossible.
I know, right?
So he hits the Transformers button.
That's so cool.
The
I really
Transformers
loved it.
button.
And
Yeah.
they kept it.
I did like the fact that they kept that, yes. So the spoilers pop up, and the car lowers, and blowers come out from the
The
engine.
wheels go out a bit.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then he just goes NASCAR.
And the guy in the back regretting already his decision
Yeah,
because he pays him a lot of money up front to get him to the airport.
Yeah, and it just like a couple minutes in, right in traffic, he's like, it's okay if I miss my flight. It's fine. It's all right. It's not a problem.
He's already scared at one point, and he's like, "Oh no, it's like I don't have to get my flight." And the guy, Daniel's like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll really get faster once we get to the freeway."
Yeah, we'll really be able to open it up once we hit the freeway. I like the fact that the passenger is one of Luc Besson's regulars as well. Because he played the cleaner in
Yeah.
the Femme Nikita.
That's where I remember him from because that was bugging me.
At one point, he passes some cops, and they can't even keep up. Like
He knocks over the speed camera.
Yeah, he knocks over the speed camera. It's just not even. It's not even viable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was funny, and then it leads into the next scene too. That's
Yeah.
the best part.
And I like that the license plate switches too. He
I was
knows
about to
it's
say
gonna-
that he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kept that in the remake as well, with where license plate changes and her
Like pretty much the whole airport sequence stays there.
stays pretty much the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the cops do give chase in the remake, but
Yeah. But they were on bikes at that point too.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and they played up the line of cabs at a typical New York airport. They use that as a device to
shield her.
to shield her, right? Because she just retransformed back to her plain old cab, and they're like, okay, which one was it? Because her taxi number changes too, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, she's on it.
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah. With Emilienne,
Yeah.
now he's needs the cab. Just was he actually making chase at this point, or was
No,
just,
he was at his mom's,
Yeah,
and he
was at
needed
his
to get
mom's.
back to work.
That's right, and yeah,
They antagonize each other. And
yeah,
that's
they
how that
antagonize each other, and it's Daniel, so he's riding pretty erratically.
Yeah.
And he does not know that Emilienne is a cop. He thinks
he's been
Emilienne
told
works for IBM.
Yeah, he knows the IBM thing, and gets a little crazier in traffic, and Emilienne's like, there are rules for a reason, and
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh no, that's the 30 is just for skateboards. It's not for cars."
Yeah, and he makes a point of pointing out that the cops are set up their speed traps in the same spots all the time. They never change them, so all the taxi drivers know where they are. So it makes it very hard for them to respect the cops and the speed traps because there's no surprise.
And also Emilienne is he goes back on him because he's really, really ragging on the cops. And Emilienne's like, "Oh yeah, so cab drivers are so much better." He's like, lazy people who do it. Like he just tears into cab drivers, rude and racist and all that. And then Daniel's like, "Well, we're not all bad," which is what Emilienne's been saying the whole time about cops.
Yeah, no, it's a really great scene actually, and it's I like the fact that they get all their animosity out of the way,
Yeah.
right, and then they develop a friendship fairly quickly
Yeah.
in the French original. But in Taxi, it's not until like the very end of the movie that they start to develop a rapport. Like there's a lot of animosity all the way through the movie between these two characters.
Yeah.
Right? They dislike each. Well, she dislikes him all the way through the movie. Right up until she starts to get to understand him a little bit better.
Yeah. You don't get that stuff happening with Queen Latifah at all. And yeah, they're just like, I hate you all the time.
It's sort of a reluctant partnership for a lot of time. I don't think it starts off very hateful, but I think about halfway through it comes to reluctant partnership. And I think the turning point is when she ends up staying at his house.
Yes.
Which I love that scene. He's treating it like, I'm having a sleepover. Like I was so delighted by the fact he just jumps on his bed like, oh, it's a sleepover.
He's very childlike in the remake.
Oh yeah, well his apartment's like right next door to his
Yes.
mom's.
Which was a great joke. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He is far more inept than Emilienne is.
Yeah, and they did the one thing that they do in American movies, where in the French movie, it's by characterization, by story, where Emilienne tries too hard and often gets in his own way. In the American movie, they actually have to have Queen Latifah deliver the dialogue that he tries too hard, and that is his problem.
Yeah, well, but you kind of see it early on when they're trying to make that bust, and he's posing as the Italian, and his partner's like saying, "Step back."
Cuban.
Yeah, that's right. The Cubans scene. I think maybe I'll run one of something like that after the show, just to show you that how that goes. But Jimmy Fallon he gets in his own way. Like as questions start arising, he does good job actually trying to defer that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know when to stop.
Yep.
And so
He tries to add too much detail that he doesn't know about.
and that happens more than once in the film when he starts getting over detail, and then somebody asks a very pointed, specific question about whatever he's pretending, and then he doesn't have an answer.
No.
Yeah. One of the things that really irked me about the remake was actually Jennifer Esposito's character. She kept getting in his way too. When he finally is onto something, she won't let him talk. Right? I mean, you see it happen more than once in the film.
But here's the thing. We know that his entire history is fucking up a lot. This guy is putting her job in jeopardy. I think what we're seeing is there's about 5-10 other cases prior to this where she let him talk.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is the one where there's a breaking point and she's just done.
Yeah, he tries to commandeer a vehicle and causes like a multi-car pileup. Like it's retarded how bad it is.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
people probably died in that car
she's going to
wreck.
get busted down because of him. So no,
Yeah.
I think this is just like the straw had broken the camel's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when she fires him because she wouldn't let him talk, I found that really hard to swallow. It's like, well, I was there and I was ready to tell you, but you kicked me out of the room. You wouldn't let me talk, right? And that's not his fault.
Well, I mean, he hasn't.
I mean, he's established he's a fuck up, but
yeah, and that's just it. Like
A continuous fuck up.
Yeah, but that wasn't his fuck up. He got fired for something that wasn't his fuck up.
True, but I mean, if you're a continuous fuck up most of the time, why is anybody going to listen to you later on?
Exactly. He's cried wolf one too many times.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm defending.
I think.
comedy.
Well, and this is the thing. Like it's sort of you're seeing it as how we've seen what's happened and how we know what's happened. She doesn't know that.
That's fair, but at the same time,
I mean, if we saw in a movie, like we saw the prequels of every crappy thing that he did and every stupid thing he did, we'd probably be completely in agreement that she should have fired him.
Well, he should have been fired before that, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that particular scene played well because of the way the way you see it as a viewer versus the way.
Yeah, Fallon actually has some pretty good ideas in his character, whereas I think most of the good ideas when it comes to stopping the bank robbers actually come from Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, she knows more. Like she has like a variety. Like she knows more things, which is exactly what Daniel's character is.
Yeah, no, Belle's exactly the same. It's Danielle that figures out
the paint
job in the car and the tires, the tire thing.
Yeah.
Belle does this. They're very similar circumstances. Although I find it a little maybe in France, because they don't understand the city and the economy, it was like, well, it's always only one guy who sells them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, come on. You can't tell me that in New York. You can't.
Yeah.
Like, how big is that city? You can't tell me there's one guy.
Well, with run flats, yeah, you can, because you're not. I don't think you're allowed to buy the ones that are.
Well, she talks about them being a military invention.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they would have somebody who would be limited to selling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're getting a high enough end car, because this is the other problem that these bank robbers are going to run into, is to get a high enough end car with enough of the bells and whistles they need to get away from police officers. It's going to be you might have to get some fairly specific engine parts and tires to make that work. So,
and you're going to do it through discrete
themselves.
means too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
you buy
don't want it to be traceable.
Now, for both versions of the film, this is a bit of a trade-off. Emilienne is going to take away Daniel's license, but he needs a driver to kind of keep doing his job.
Because he can't drive. He has no license.
Yeah. And he now knows this guy's a great driver.
And he's also seen his vehicle do some stuff, so...
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's a very similar thing over in the remake as well. It's and that's how the two hook up.
You have the cop who knows, like, sort of what he's looking for, but you have the person who just knows all about the vehicles.
Although in the French one, he never gets out from under the cop's thumbs.
No.
At one point, Washburn does give Latifah's license back, and she still kind of sticks by him. They've kind of bonded through all this stuff. But, even when we get to the end of the movie, when he's doing a little NASCAR, he's driving for the police.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they blackmail him into it.
They blackmail him into it. So he's still under their thumb.
Well, Emilienne did give him back his license.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Making work, but he's still under the cop's thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is probably how it really would be, right? It's like, you cannot get away with driving like that.
Well, yeah, and you got illegal mods on the car, and...
Yeah, this is not your average car. I don't think... Yeah, we don't know how much of this is legal that your car does.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the end of the movie, he's still mad.
Oh, yeah.
I love that he's still mad. It's not your typical happy ending, for sure.
No, he even talks about dreaming about being a race car driver. When he finally gets it, it's kind of bittersweet.
Yeah.
Because of the sponsorship.
Yeah, the sponsorship. He's very anti-cop.
Oh, yeah, hates it. Well, it's really funny, too. You have the point where Emilien burns down his mom's apartment.
Oh, Jesus.
And him and his mom have to stay with Daniel.
Yeah.
For the while, and Lily's pissed because that was
another night.
That was another night. But what's great is this is the other thing with the Anne Margaret character. This is the other thing with Lily in the French version. She's really kind of pissed off she has to take care of this old lady, but by the end, she freaking is in love with this woman because she's just so wonderful.
Well, they got drunk and stoned together.
Yeah, but but they had like 17 hours, so they've had probably these long conversations. Like they've really bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Lily starts to cut Daniel some slack, right? And they kept that dynamic in the remake as well with...
Yeah, now we haven't actually talked about Latifah's side. She's got a very handsome boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
I was just setting that up for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
As much as I like Latifah and I think she's a pretty lady, that dude was out of her league.
I don't think so.
Oh my God.
I really don't think so.
Anyway, so this big guy, he's fixing to propose. That's kind of how they get around that gender swapping and that angle. He's fixing to propose. They've been together for quite some time, obviously. And because of this transition from her delivery to taxi driver, some of her passions have kind of gotten in the way. And this trip to get her license was a lot longer. We've seen this in the other film, and so he keeps missing his opportunities, and he's getting more and more frustrated.
Yeah, and there's probably this fact that she's now under the cop's thumb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At one point she shows up with the cop to explain. He's super mad, takes his badge, melts it, blow torches it.
I love Fallon's line there is, I always wanted a money clip.
Yeah.
It's like he just takes things so in stride. Like that's the best part. Is like he's so used to bad stuff happening to him that it's just par for the course now.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
I love
actually.
it when he still tries to flash the little melted badge, though.
I would have liked to at least have been able to hold on to his badge. That was just the only thing. It kind of frustrated me a little bit because it made him seem a little too inept.
Yeah.
Well,
the whole movie makes him seem inept.
Yeah, people kept taking it away from him.
He so horribly inept. Eventually, you're like going, "Oh, you shouldn't be a cop. You should have been like." I would have wanted to fired at the beginning of the movie.
She'd take it. He'd pull his gun. She'd take it.
Yeah,
yeah. No,
he almost like if he's shooting wildly in her cab car, well within her rights to do so.
Sure,
I believe.
Sure.
No, I think that's one of the things that frustrated me about the remake was that they made him so horribly inept,
and that frustrated me too. It was sometimes hard to watch for me. It's like, oh, you're so embarrassingly bad.
See, like you need sort of that little bit of a save the cat moment for where he might just have that shining spot in his head where he can like understand certain things. That would be a way of fixing that.
Yeah.
Well, and they do when he figures out their method, right? That's supposed to be the moment where you see that he's not as inept as he appears to be, but they just hammer him so hard coming up to it. It does. It's like you're going, when is it going to happen? And when it happens, you're like, yay! But it kind of falls a little bit flat too.
Yeah. Because you've lost us at this point. We've been watching this guy do badly all along, and it's really hard to root for him after a certain period of time.
Well, you know what? Let's take a look at that trailer for the remake, and we'll talk some more.
Officer Washburn is having a bad day. Officer Washburn.
That's funny.
Is having a bad month.
3 cars you totaled. That is 11 points on your license.
Don't take my license, please.
It's gone.
Attention all units. Proceed to Manhattan Savings and Loan. We have a 10:30 armed robbery in progress. Suspects armed and dangerous.
Freeze! Police officer! I'm gonna need a car!
But luckily for Officer Washburn, he lives in New York City.
36 and Broadway. Step on it.
You jumped in the right cab today. I don't usually stop for white guys. My way of balancing the universe. Buckle up for safety, mother.
You took a cab to a bank robbery?
Don't worry about speed limits, red lights, nothing.
I'm still running this meter.
Keep driving.
Who is gonna pay that?
This is a badge, okay? That means you're not allowed to scream at me. No.
Give me this thing. Ah!
Stop. Yeah.
Damn. Please, sorry, I can't hear you. Somebody keeps screaming like a little girl. You okay?
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, well, that was Taxi from 2004, starring Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of really hot European supermodels.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and it's funny, while we were sort of listening to the trailer there, it reminded me of something else that bugged me about this movie. There's no fucking way that this cop can be that inept because he's a detective. Therefore, he has to have some competence. He never would have been made detective without some competence.
Exactly.
Right? And that's...
Would they even give a patrolman a badge without a driver's license? Like, really?
Well, if you're a beat cop, you're walking.
Yeah.
You're literally not in a car.
Well, and Jimmy Fallon did have a license that got taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, because she asks who gave him his license, which is a good question. Although we now have TV shows like Canada's Worst Driver, which tell us that driver's licenses can be obtained by people who should never have them.
That's true. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's...
We know somebody who was on that show.
Yeah, we do know somebody who was on that show, yes. Yeah. No, we... But yeah, I think that's one of the other things I find really hard to swallow with how inept Fallon's character is because he obviously showed that competence at some point. So what changed?
Yeah. See, like I like the idea of maybe what they did was they wanted to show him as incompetent, but what they what they were trying to do was show him that he tried too hard, he got in his own way, but what it came off as was completely incompetent so many times.
Yeah.
So it should have been more try hard and failing rather than just
there weren't
so
enough
stupid.
competent moments with the character that it was just like, well, we could just have Queen Latifah solving the crimes every day.
Well,
you barely even needed him, right?
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about like the Cuban part where there's a sliver of a moment where he gets all pissed off because they're questioning who he is. He's like, I don't trust this. I don't trust this. You get your guy to come out from behind that door. That's kind of a smart moment for him. Because then the guys are like, oh, you're questioning how good we are? And that sort of really puts everything off. If he'd left it at that, it would have been great. So, yeah, it's sort of, there's a little bit of an uneven writing in it where they couldn't figure out how to make him just too, like, slightly too much, but rather just ended up incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because with Emilienne, he's not a bad cop. Like, right? He makes some mistakes, like opening the car door and causing that big gunfight.
Oh, yeah.
Which was freaking hilarious.
Between both sets of cops.
Yes.
Like, they're not even shooting at the bad guys at that point.
No, it was very funny to watch that, but I mean, it was just a mistake, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't incompetence. It was just he got frustrated and he needed to do something. And he had to go pee. He couldn't wait anymore.
Which is realistic, right?
It's totally realistic.
Yeah.
And and then there's the point where he thinks of the idea of shooting that tracking device onto the car.
Good idea.
It works great until they paint over it, but he doesn't know they're painting over it.
That's right. And that tracker was a great idea, and this is where we see the quick dry paint kind of come in. Why they can't track the car very long is they do a quick color change, and they were hiding the cash, so if they got stopped, not a big deal. They got nothing in the car.
Exactly.
Just some luggage.
Yeah.
So,
which they kept in both movies, which I liked.
Yeah. Except apparently only supermodels carry around G-strings and bathing suits.
It's all lingerie. There's absolutely no outer clothing.
Well, it was designed as a distraction.
Yep.
Right? Just the way that their outfits were. It's like who drives around in a bikini?
Yeah, well, I thought it was a gimmicked bag initially because of the way they opened the suitcase. But no, they were ditching the stuff in the garbage and had some poor garbage guy's wife held hostage who would do the pickups for them. Yeah. So I'm like, well, why did it look like they had this gimmick suitcase then that wasn't opening properly? Like, it was so weird.
Well, I think it was supposed to look like it was a suitcase full of cash.
Yeah.
But what they should have done is they didn't fill it enough. Because it looked like it was filled part way, but there was a secret compartment in the top and the bottom.
And that's it looked like they opened a secret compartment, and so they were opening a section that... Yeah.
What they should have done is filled it more to make it look more like a suitcase.
Yes, because...
Like they did in the original, yeah.
Yeah, because nobody's going to have a problem with more lingerie.
Yeah, he's here's the other... This is the dirty stuff. I have to keep it separate from the clean stuff. If you travel, that's what you do, right?
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if you got sexy supermodels, you could really play the gags up in there, too. It's not just lingerie in there anymore. Some handcuffs and...
Yeah. Well, it's like the guy... That's the whole thing. Like, this is why the girls... as a gimmick works kind of better because the Speak Up doesn't even question that there's no other clothing except G-strings and bras in here because he's that stupid and overwhelmed by this hot woman.
Yeah, it does change a lot of the dynamic between Latifah's Belle and those thieves, where there's this antagonistic competition going on between Danielle and the robbers. So they don't really know he's working with the cop initially, so he's constantly trying to race them and antagonize them, and every time he sees them.
Yes.
Well, it's to trap them because...
It is. It's to get them really frustrated and competitive.
Yeah.
They start shooting at them after a while.
It was sort of... Yeah, because it's weird, because the girls are like, they just want the end game, they just want their money.
Yeah.
At the end, they won't be like, no, you can't bait us into racing, we just want our cash. Yeah. Whereas the guys are a little bit like... no, we can't lose face in front of this dude.
And that's where the hostage thing with Marta comes in.
Yeah, and I liked that they didn't keep that racing aspect in there because that's very much a guy swinging dick testosterone thing, right? Whereas women would be calmer and cooler. They'd be about getting the job done and get your revenge later.
Yeah, this race thing isn't practical, and it feels like a freaking trap.
Yeah,
sure.
But and it was
completely playing to ego.
Yeah.
But that's exactly the way a man would respond.
They just robbed a bank, but this guy's pissing me off. We got to show him.
Exactly.
Show him off.
And the thing is, Danielle knows because he's kind of that type of guy too. He doesn't want to lose a race either.
No.
Yeah.
I love how they bait them.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so funny. And he does, like, the fact is he does it several times too because he knows he has to really just get under their skin.
It's a plan in the original Taxi where it's kind of a plan on the fly.
Yeah.
In the other one, because they're trying to rescue Marta, and there's this craziness of trying to pull her out of the car while exchanging the cash to the other car.
Was a fun scene. It's probably one of the most fun scenes in the movie.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty great scene. But and Fallon's trying to figure out where to go.
Yeah.
And figures out this incomplete overpass on the freeway.
But they have to get as far enough as they can. Like, if we pull Marta in the car too fast, they're not going to pull off.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, no, it was really well done, and
it was. I think it works a little bit better in the original just because it's a little simpler.
Yeah,
it's a little more elegant in that regard because there's no complications as far as hostages and stuff. But I mean, both scenes work out really well.
Oh yeah,
they're both wonderful scenes.
And I love the fact that they kept that end game, right?
Yeah,
I
love how the
So
Germans were celebrating that they made the jump because there's this break in the freeway, and both Danielle and Queen Latifah stop, whereas the two cars keep going over the jump, and then they hit their brakes, and then they realize they're trapped because it's just a small segment, and then there's another big gap, so now they're trapped on this.
They
big
can't get enough
overpass.
run up.
There's no run. Yeah, they're stuck.
Yep.
It was beautiful.
It was
so good.
Yeah.
In the Fast and the Furious, they just would have kept going. Like they did. Remember they did the buildings, and they did another one.
Yeah, and hey, Fast and Furious. If you're thinking about Fast and Furious, like 25, after they're smart enough to take Toretto's license away.
Yeah.
Just have Latifah driving him.
Yeah. I'm surprised after this movie and with all like the taxis that in Fast and the Furious the character of Daniel just hasn't shown up at some point.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Maybe it's because Luke hasn't let them do it. Maybe.
Well, the Fast and Furious franchise likes to pull from famous actors who've done racing or car crime movies before, and I mean, maybe it's just because it's a French film that they don't think anybody's going to recognize those characters. But
or maybe Luke has the rights to that character and just hasn't let them have it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see that.
That would be great.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I really like the actors who play Daniel and Emilienne. They have a really great on-screen chemistry.
Yeah,
for sure.
I didn't think Latifah and Fallon had great chemistry.
No.
Like, Latifah's very watchable. I really enjoy Queen Latifah, and it's a shame I haven't seen too much of her lately as an actress because, she was really watchable.
She's great to watch in anything. I just like seeing her.
I don't think the film comes together as solidly as the original, and maybe that is kind of the chemistry and the overdoing it with Fallon.
Yeah, that's why I think the blame sort of rests with Fallon.
Yeah, I just didn't dig Fallon that much.
You know what? If you had like Andy Samberg, like I've been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like a kind of Brooklyn Nine-Nine-ish Andy Samberg and Queen Latifah, how magical would that be?
Yeah,
that would be a great movie.
Yeah.
I could see that just exploding. Like, just that chemistry would be great.
Fallon's busy now. He's got the Tonight Show gig.
Well, I think the thing is, and because I don't even know how many movies Fallon did. I can only think of 2, to be completely honest. But he had just come from sketch comedy, and you can tell, right?
Yeah.
Like every scene he's in feels like a sketch rather than a consistent character.
Yeah, you're kind of right there. Yeah,
right. And it's not that he's a bad actor. And I don't think it's because there was no chemistry. It's just that he didn't know how to tie it all together. Like he didn't have that consistency yet that Latifah does, because that's where she's always been a film actor as an actress, right? So she's has that experience of breaking in but still staying in that character. Whereas Fallon, he'd play a dozen different characters a night, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of showed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's kind of like going, I believe at this point this would be like a boy who's very frustrated with his mom. And at this point he's like, oh, it's a sleepover. Or he's like, oh, I'm a beat cop and I'm kind of sad now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, instead of playing one character, his character was a bunch of different characters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Yeah, you don't see him grow that much outside of the driving bit.
No.
I guess both him and Emilienne are both kind of lost little boys, except within their respective fields. I mean, at least Emilienne felt like he was a somewhat competent cop with good ideas. He just
and there's actually one thing that really bothers me about the original movie. You just brought up. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jay.
That's fine.
Is he's talking to Petra about this software that he developed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I
and
think
then
he's more
and then
tech
it just
guy.
disappears.
Yeah,
They never really kind of close that loop for us.
Yeah,
and maybe they do in the sequel. But
you got to figure that they don't know this is going to be a success, so it's probably a plot point that just kind of hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see where that is, because again that.
Although I get the feeling he was just trying to come up with things so he could talk to her.
True.
Yes, but at the same time, there was something very specific, right? And it could have shown more about how he's very competent at some things.
Yeah.
But not at everything, like the driving and his self-confidence, right?
Well,
so I would have liked to seen that.
I think it probably was maybe like an earlier draft sort of idea that he was a police officer, but he was probably more on the tech side of things. He wasn't in the field a lot.
Yeah.
I believe that's sort of what happened. That's why kind of the computer program comes into, and like his mom brings him stuff to fix, and they don't say that he doesn't fix it.
No, exactly. And as a matter of fact, he kind of says that he does fix it, right?
Yeah. So I think that's part of the thing. He's competent, but just not in like the field cop work.
Yeah. We actually forgot to touch upon in both movies Danielle in the final scene of entrapping these robbers, bringing in the other pizza boys.
Yes.
And in Queen Latifah's case, the messengers. Now in the original, they had to steal and copy a specific key.
Yeah, it's one that controls the traffic lights. They have the old
traffic light
old
keys.
traffic lights in
Marseille.
Yeah.
In Marseille,
And then they all wound up controlling traffic lights so they could control where that car was going.
Yeah.
In the remake, it wasn't as technical. It was just using the other messengers to track the thieves and where they were going. So you saw some good bike riding during that, just trying to keep up, and especially if there was a messenger who wasn't in a right position for it. So they'd have to actually give chase and grab onto cars and things like that.
Yeah, it did add a really great action element to that. Already action-packed end game, but it added just that little bit extra that was kind of fun to watch.
And that network of bike couriers, because like who's like all around that area of New York that the bike couriers are.
And they go out of their way to say how important both characters were to those prospective jobs from either movie, to the people they worked with and the people who they employed them.
Yeah, because they were, I mean, Danielle and Belle were both very likable.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They had opinions and they were questionable in the way they drove, right?
Yeah.
Skilled, but questionable.
Yeah.
Right?
They had sketchy pasts, but at the core of themselves, they weren't like evil people.
No, not at all.
Well, I mean, we did sort of talk about how Daniel, they kind of infer that Daniel's got some side interests or had some side interests that are maybe less than legal, but Belle was always up and up. She just right. She's always been in love with cars, but she was a bike courier. She didn't have any sort of hidden secrets.
Well, they have the thing with like when she was younger, reckless driving and all that other stuff. Like she's the kid in like the third Fast and the Furious movie. That's what, if she didn't get sent to Tokyo, that's who she was.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so but she doesn't have any like criminal convictions. It's all moving violations, right?
Yeah. Everybody has a few tickets.
Yeah.
73 tickets.
Yeah, and she does get to live out. Belle gets to live out her NASCAR dream at the end of that movie.
And she's not as upset by the sponsorship. Although, if you were to remake this now, probably a lot upset by the sponsorship.
Yeah, and she was
these people close mortgages. These people close mortgages.
She was racing Jeff Gordon, who was brought into the film for his cameo because he was dating Giselle Bündchen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
So there you go.
There we
or
go.
one of the supermodels. I'm actually not sure if it was her, but it was one of them.
Nice.
Because, supermodels.
I would say the one thing that really there's one part that irritated me incredibly about the remake movie, and this is the part that happened at the very beginning, where she's doing that speed trial but as a bike courier. in New York. Now,
and going through subways.
yes, that's the point. She's going through a subway, and that subway happens to come there, and the doors happen to open. Now, if your entire bike trail relies on transit being on time, you are fucked. There is no way that train's going to show up at the right time.
Well, you know what? It was one of those things that looked good. You're right.
Oh, yeah.
It was there
but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, such a lie.
You know what would have been... Actually, if I was remaking that scene... See where I went there?
Nice.
I would have her bunny hop the tracks in front of a train that was coming to a stop. That would have been way cooler, right? Because then she's not relying on transit, but she's actually
relying on being late.
Yes. Yeah. I think that would have looked cooler, actually.
Oh, yeah. She gets out there just in front of it. So awesome. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah. or just grabs onto it at the back.
Oh, true.
That'd
True,
cool
and like whips herself around to the other side. Yeah, you could make it, but yeah, it just can't be that it's there on time.
Yeah, with doors open on both sides, because I've never been on a New York subway, but I was under the impression they only open on one side, like RC trains.
Yeah, well, no RC trains open on both sides.
Yeah,
they do, but
because the platforms go either way.
They're not open at the same time.
But I wonder if
they're not open at the same time.
But
though.
what I'm wondering is if there isn't. I don't know if. Did I see any of this in London? You can have train stations where there's like you have a platform and then like a middle platform and maybe like an outer platform. That would be where you would have that type of thing. But then you'd have to transfer over another platform.
Yeah. Well, that's just it.
Or stairs to that middle platform. There's got to be a way this works, guys. I've never been to New York. Okay, we have to fly to New York.
Yeah.
We have to look this up.
Which is weird because all the major driving scenes were all in LA.
Oh, yeah. That's sort of the other thing that bothered me about this movie. I know they needed it set in New York because it sort of made more sense. But if you're going to have people speed racing through a city, I don't think New York is your best bet. It's like the one Fast and the Furious where they're going in downtown London. I couldn't buy that for like a second.
Yeah.
Because I've lived there and I know what the traffic's like. That's a hard no. Unless you have the traffic keys, that's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go back to the traffic keys, by the way, because that's they mentioned that what he did to change all those lights is actually resulted in them transforming their system. Because those traffic keys are so archaic, like they're so outdated, that they actually are turning over to computerized control, so that can't happen again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Ooh, the one great moment in the traffic key bit where there's the one courier, he's sitting at the light, and there's cops there, and he's like, "I've run into a bit of a problem." So Emilienne, in a moment of brilliance, is like, "Put him on." And so you have to talk to the guy. There's a bomb. You have to put the key in and turn it.
It's already red.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like really, really just not doing it until the bike courier's like, "Just let me."
Chunk.
I thought that was a lovely way to get around that.
It was. It was pretty good.
And it showed Emilienne's competence, right? Like that and I really liked Emilienne's character far more than I liked Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, for sure.
Because he wasn't so consistently inept. He was very competent at some things. He just had some things he wasn't so good at.
Yeah.
Almost all of his bumbling comes around either driving or talking to Petra.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really it. And otherwise he's a pretty...
Well, and leaving the stove on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing, is he got easily distracted.
Yeah.
And tried too hard. But he had that moment of brilliance, and he had to go deal with it and forgot that he'd left the stove on.
But it's weird because as his character as a cop, we look at it as like he gets easily distracted. But in other movies, we've seen this character of like the dotty genius who just forgets things because all of a sudden they realize something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of where they were going with Emilienne.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, anything else? I think we covered Taxi pretty well. I mean, they're both fun movies.
They're fun. I want a car that lifts up and I can change the tires with like little buttons. It's a Bond car.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
And I like the fact that they did it in both movies.
Yeah,
because when I actually had to watch the movies backwards for technical reasons, so I watched the American one first. So when I finally got to watch the French original, when I first saw his car, I'm like, oh, they didn't do all. They must have Americanized it with all that fun stuff. And then they did it. I'm like, yay!
Ooh, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. In the American one, they do something which I kind of like as an improvement,
right,
where they don't go into a truck to repaint the car. What they've done is they're just ripping off this stuff that the car's been coated in, which makes more sense and easy to try to like.
Yeah, they were painting the cars in the original. In this one, they kind of pull off this latex outer coating, and it just looks like latex paint, and they're just yanking it off, and so it's a different color underneath, and away they go.
Yeah, and it makes more sense.
And then they strip off their hot chauffeur outfits and get into their bikinis.
Because the cops are looking for people who are dressed in suits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not skimpily clad women.
And certainly,
and it was covering up their figures too, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so it was there for two. They got in this bikinis for two reasons. One, because they're not that way, they're not in suits, and two, because it's a distraction.
The cops
right?
always seem to know in the French one where the bank robbers were hitting next,
because the bank robbers were telling them.
They were telling them. Yeah, they were announcing it, and they didn't do that in the other one.
Again, another ego dick swinging thing.
It was. It's like, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to be here, and you're still not going to catch us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the girls saw no point to doing this because they're like, no, we're just going to do it. Why would we tell people? That's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. It is stupid.
It is stupid. And actually, it was nice because that's where Jimmy Fallon's character got the opportunity to show that he was not incompetent. He figured out which bank was going to be robbed next based on the
garbage routes.
On the garbage truck
trucks,
route. Yeah. Which, again, I really enjoyed. And I like that small change that they made where they were dumping the garbage outside of the bank instead of having the guy go into the bank to collect it. Yeah, because then it's out of there and it just one element of risk that's gone, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you just find it hard to buy Fallon coming up with that theory so late in the game. Because he's done nothing, not a single damn thing right up to this point.
Oh, well, the one thing they also do that's kind of right is a scene that made me laugh actually quite a bit, where him and Queen Latifah are trying to pick the lock to the sanitary department. And he's like, why would there be an alarm on it? And the alarm goes off, and this old guy comes to the door. Who are you? I'm Vern.
I like how they run off and then run back. We heard an alarm.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you this is what they used to pick the lock. We're going to keep that.
In case there's prints.
I'm Vern. It really did make me giggle.
Yeah, that was one of the better played scenes. But again, it still felt like a sketch.
Yeah, it did.
Very much so. And and the other bit that made me laugh was when she locks over a fire hydrant and it's raining. Jimmy Fallon just reaches over, does the windshield wipers.
That was a good little end cap, too. But again, it was like,
it's a
and
sketch.
The sketch is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your end joke on the sketch.
But that was pretty funny.
Yeah, there's some lovely little moments in that movie.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with the remake is there are lots of great moments, but it's just not as cohesive as the original.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in that Queen Latifah, her character is on a journey through this whole movie, whereas Jimmy Fallon is stumbling from sketch to sketch because she's going through this whole thing with her boyfriend, and I feel this whole relationship going along. I really do.
Yeah, things go sour, and I mean, you got a B story where that relationship is struggling, and there's a bit of a give up point, and then the winning back, but takes a bit.
True, but I didn't buy that his alcoholic mother somehow convinced him that everything was okay, which is where I feel the character was a problem. If she was like that dotty, lovely mom, and he came over and she talked to him, I could kind of buy it more.
Yeah, but she's just soused all the time, so
yeah, so I don't quite get it.
No, it didn't. Yeah, it doesn't come off as genuine.
No,
but it set up a great one-liner. That's the whole. That's what this movie's about. Is a lot of these great setups for one joke, right? Because there's that conversation which is we were just about to make dinner. And he looks and he goes, "No, we weren't." And then they play on that joke about how she can order takeout like a mother, right?
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I think they made her an alcoholic because they do hint that she was kind of really tough on him as a child, which you don't need to make her an alcoholic to do. She could just be a dotty mom who doesn't understand anything. Because like they do make mention was like, I taught you how to drive. I was 6. You just let go of the wheel. Look, I grew up on a farm. I've been driving since I was 6. There are less stressful ways to make a child drive a vehicle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, they were talking about how his dad was not a nice man. His dad just threw him into the pool to teach him how to swim. And it's like, I can't swim either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think if we could just, they'd have to totally rework her character to really make that work. Poor Anne Margaret.
Yeah,
wasted Anne Margaret.
Yeah, pardon the pun.
They wasted her with a wasted Anne Margaret.
But she could make a mean margarita.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was fun in her. I mean, she was still very good in the role. But the character was really not well conceived.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And like with Queen Latifah, I would really kind of maybe appreciate more interaction with her and Gisele Bündchen, because there is that whole thing where she knows she's a good driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a certain competitiveness there, but it was very different.
It was very different,
yeah. I mean, there was definitely that competitiveness there. There was a respect. It's like, yeah, you are a damn good driver, and I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because when she sees the cab pulling up behind her, she's like, "Oh, hello."
I don't know. Yeah, I thought Giselle was a little turned on by it.
Yeah.
I think she was, and that's what there was that "ooh, hello" kind of a look.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have actually liked to seen a little bit of the other robbers going, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah,
don't get into it with this cab driver. Just shoot him.
Or when they finally
they do
a little bit.
Yeah,
but
when they finally have her and Jimmy Fallon in that garage. I would have loved to see Giselle just do a whole play on it, because she knows that Queen Latifah is the driver.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just have the whole... And the other girls are kind of wondering, like, why are you... I'm sorry? You're with us. What are you doing? Like, getting on this chick. Like, they're kind of worried about her?
Yeah.
Well, do they know that she's the driver of the cab? Because I don't think they got a good look at her in the first chase.
Yeah, she gives a kissy face.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
She knows she's the driver.
Yeah.
She was going backwards, keeping up with them in an alley. She knows she's a good driver.
The Germans don't know for a long period of time in the original, but the models, the Brazilians know right away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was a missed opportunity, especially in the garage. That could have worked out for some amazing stuff.
Yeah, it could have been funnier than actually the laughing gas bit.
Oh, completely.
Oh, yeah. I agree. That might have been a lost opportunity, but it could come just down to what the supermodels were capable of as actresses. I mean, True. English alone was a second language, or probably third or fourth in some cases. Yeah. So, what can we get them to do without actually having to talk too much?
Yeah. Well, once you get to 3 or 4, you're not doing too bad.
Yeah.
Even if you speak the fourth language badly, you're in a fourth language.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, they did not have to speak English well as these characters. They could have... No. If it was moderately mangled, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have been fine if it was happening subtitled in their own language. I would have been fine with that still.
Well, you do have Giselle at one point where she does like kind of that Jersey accent with the cop.
Yeah, she did, yeah. She did it pretty decently.
And you're going to help me. I think the trunk is broken.
Yeah, she is actually. I'd like to see her act more, not because she's good looking, but because I'd like to see if because that was actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we will.
Woohoo!
It's hard to believe that the original is almost 20 years ago already.
I know.
Yeah.
And
1998.
The remake's 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're getting old.
Speak for yourselves.
Why does time keep happening?
I'm de-aging as we speak.
You go on the Benjamin Button route?
That's right. I'm entering my 20s.
Nice.
From the reverse side.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's been Taxi, and I don't know. That was a fun one to do. We haven't done a foreign film in a while, so that was kind of pretty cool to do. Now we do have a challenge up.
And
I think we'll do that next week, Kyle.
Can you hear us, Kyle?
And that one's going to be a hard one, so I think we'll do that one next week. But, so you're going to have to wait to find out what it is, though. I'm not going to tell you. But, Kyle, damn you.
But
don't
if
say
you
damn
follow
him
us
yet.
on
This could be
Twitter, you
fun.
might be able to figure it out.
That's true. If you were following on Twitter, you already know what it's going to be. So,
and where do they follow us, Jason?
At Invasion Remake on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook, Invasion of the Remake, of course, and Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com if you want to send us any comments, corrections, suggestions, challenges. You can do it at all those places.
Nice.
Because Kyle did.
Because Kyle did. And now, guess what? We're going to do Kyle's challenge and not yours because you didn't talk to us.
Exactly.
So you got to talk to us. If you want to hear something, you got to talk to us.
You got to say something.
It's just that simple. If you don't speak up, nothing happens. And we just go and do our own thing, and then we do a movie like Taxi.
Which I have to say, really, like, both movies really enjoyable. This was a good week?
This was a fun week, yeah. This was a fun week.
Neither movie was painful to watch.
I didn't like the American one near as much as the French one, but that's just me.
Parts of it I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, But
you give me some Queen
okay.
Latifah, and I am happy as a clam.
And I was very. It was a joy watching Queen Latifah again. I hadn't seen her in a while, so that was good.
Yeah.
Now, you can also support the show by leaving us a 5-star rating on iTunes and leaving a short review. The reviews and the ratings help other people find the show, so please do us that solid, and it gets more
earballs
on the show. We missed you last week, Trish.
Sorry. We should just like record me saying earballs, and you can just plop it in whenever you need it.
There you go. Well, I have many, many times.
Yes. Well, there you go.
I'm too lazy to clip it.
I see.
And it's never occurred to you before.
No, it didn't. Not until now. Damn it.
Sorry, gonna call you on it, Jay.
You're right. I just didn't.
Well, it didn't occur to us either until just now, so it's okay.
That's true. So yeah, if you guys want to help us out, leaving us those reviews really help. And as we said to you the last couple of weeks, if you leave reviews, once we reach 100 reviews, we'll give you a bonus episode. It's an additional episode, not like, and we'll get you to vote on it. But so you get 2 episodes that week.
Exactly.
We have to get there first. And I may take it off the table soon because I'm not seeing any reviews popping up.
Exactly.
So
you can do it.
You're taking your voice away from you.
Yeah.
You can do this. Just we know you guys are out there. Just leave us just a few short words over on iTunes and get other people listening to the show. Another way you can help the show out is just tell everybody how to find us. You can share us out on your social media, of course, when you see us post. And you can tell them, if they got an Android or whatever. We're on all sorts of devices and all sorts of apps. You can find us on, of course, iTunes, Libsyn, TuneIn Radio, Player FM, Audio Boom, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and so many more. We're even on freaking YouTube. YouTube.
You can't. It's hard.
Well,
it's
not
almost
this
like,
week, probably.
No. True. We'll just
YouTube.
We'll just have to say you have to go out of your way to not find us.
That's right. I mean, at this point, you're actively avoiding us.
Yeah, because if you Google search Invasion of the Remake, we are the first page of results. Literally the first page.
Yeah. And then after that, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But I don't know why.
But we are first.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I haven't covered that one yet.
Yeah, we don't want to be overshadowed.
I'm saving that for episode 500.
Yeah.
But then we should have enough people listening that we don't have to worry about them not being able to find us on Google, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And by then we should have another 10 more Body Snatchers movies.
Oh, God. That's why I've been... Actually, we named the show after that, but my God, there are so many Invasion of the Body Snatcher type movies now. It's
exactly.
It might wind up being a retrospective rather than more of an analysis.
Yeah,
it would almost have to be.
Yeah, because it's a retarded amount of them.
Yes, and we've done 3 and 4 remake movies, and they're hard.
It gets a little tough on our schedules because we have day jobs because this pays us nothing.
Yes.
In fact, this takes money away from us to do this. We're doing this at a loss for you. So, come on, give us those ratings and reviews. That helps us out.
Of the kindness of our little hearts.
That's right.
Well, because it's fun.
And
True.
It is fun. Honestly,
if nobody listened, we will still do this.
That's right. I mean, if there were no microphones in the room, it's the same conversations we have without microphones. Really.
Although, as we found out last night, it can get quite a lot darker real quick.
Oh, yeah. We do have some ideas brewing for some new segments well because of last night. So
Yeah.
Yeah, alcohol and us.
Yeah.
Cards Against
Humanity.
Humanity.
A little bit of Cards Against Humanity inspired us to greatness.
We hope.
We hope.
It's a recipe for crazy, but the good kind of crazy.
Hey, anybody who works for Cards Against Humanity, we're looking for a sponsor.
Exactly. We love you.
We do. We love that game. All right, well, I've been Jason.
I'm Sam.
I'm Trish.
And we're going to go catch a cab because we're out of here.
The next time you guys are in Atlanta, you give me a call. We'll come over, play PlayStation, play, hang out. You'll eat a gordita, it's a taco inside another taco, soft inside of a hard one, more beef, and then beans, and then more beef, another taco, and then into another one.